With each use of our Clipex handler, we want to ensure we complete our pre-start checks so all functions and modes are operational. We start our checks ensuring that our compressor is supplying clean, dry air by draining our compressor tank daily as per the manufacturer's sticker. We want a minimum of 18 CFM at 100 PSI, and when we hook up our battery, we want to make sure that it's fully charged with a minimum of 12.7 volts. With our compressor supplying dry, clean air, we can now plug it in via our supplied 3/4 inch hose. To tilt the handler, we use our air toggle underneath. We can then engage our safety leg and drop that tilt bed back down into a safe position for work, which will allow us to check our water trap, our regulator pressure and oiler, ensuring the water trap is dry and clean, our regulator's at a minimum of 80 PSI, and our oiler is full and adjusted correctly. We will also check under the machine for any foreign objects or any potential damage or air leaks. We can then fold down our safety leg and lower the handler back down. Connecting our fully charged battery, and with our handler switched in the off position, we can now check all 3 of our independent jacks, ensuring their operation and the machine is set, level and at the correct height for our use. When we switch our handler on, we want to ensure that our entire handler goes to the home position, our entry gate to the open, pre-catch, catch and draft gates all center themselves. This will allow us to know that all the valves are working and that all our rams are also working. We can also listen at this point for any basic air leaks, making sure that none of our base system is leaking. Now with the handler turned on and no mode selected, I can check that my photo eyes are operational. I can see that the green light is on to say that the circuit is there, and by passing my hand under it, I can create the red light as if an animal was in the handler. The reason I'm doing this without a mode selected is there's no chance of catching myself or hurting my arm. Moving down the catch wall in between, I can actually check the depth of that sensor, how far down we're reading, and to make sure that we'll catch our lambs. Switching into our manual mode, we can now test each of the manual functions. Beginning with our draft dial and our left draft gate, and centered, and right draft gate, and centered. Whilst doing this, also listening for our air leaks, making sure that none of our systems are leaking. We can then catch our handler, ensuring that the catch wall and entry gate close, and using our hand under our pre-catch sensor, we can making sure it's closing with firm pressure. Our catch wall, we have a dial for our pressure settings. We want to check it at the lowest setting, that it is firm but not hard, and then rotating that dial up to our high pressure, we can re-catch, and there is no movement in that wall, it is solid. We know that that system is working and our dial is also working. Bringing our handler into the tilt position, as it comes over, we want to watch that the tail flap moves up, doesn't hit our sensor bar, and comes right to our 90-degree position. We can then check our head flap in open and close. We'll then reopen our head flap. This way we can ensure when we tilt return via our switch that both the tail flap and head flap go down as they should. With our auto release function turned on, when the handler tilts down, it automatically releases. We can then turn that into the off position, catch again, tilt the handler back over, and when we tilt it back down, it won't release to let that sheet go, so that we can make sure that that function is also operational. We can then hit release on the dash panel. If you have purchased a remote or a foot pedal with your Clipex sheep handler, After testing your manual functions, you can now test those in manual with the remote. So we have our left, center, and right draft gates on our remote. We also have our catch and our release function. On our foot pedal, once the handler is caught, we can use it to tilt return, and release. Now with all our functions tested in the manual mode and checking our remote and foot pedal are operational, we can switch our handler off and install our indicator. I'm going to be using the Gallagher indicator today, as that's what we've got this handler set up for. Now with our indicator fitted and set up, we can turn our handler back on and move across to our semi mode and test our functions there. Our indicator is now going to automatically draft our gates. I've set this up below 20 kilos to go left, 20 to 40 straight ahead, and over 40 to the right, so we'll be able to see that as we go. Triggering our first overhead sensor, closing our entry gate, making sure it's nice and firm, and then using our right hand, we can trigger our pre-catch gate and making sure it closes. Removing our hand, both gates open. Once we break the sensor of our second overhead sensor, we can apply a weight, which will then adjust the draft gates at the front. Using our release pedal, our catch wall will open, ready for the next entry. Triggering both our sensors again and applying more weight, triggering our right hand draft gate. We can now tilt this over, checking that our tail flap comes up and is again clear. Our head flap is opening and closing, but also re-triggering that head flap in this semi mode to make sure that it closes when we tilt the handler back down. We've now left our auto release off, so it has not released. If we turn our auto release on and then re-tilt the machine, when we tilt it back down, it will auto release, which would put the handler in a position ready for the next sheep. Switching across to auto mode, our handler will automatically catch when the sensors are triggered, set its draft direction pending the weight, and then release that animal ready for another one. For us to test that, we can bring our hands under the sensors, apply a small amount of weight. With my hands still under the sensor, I'm simulating a sheep not walking out, keeping the entry gate and the backing flap activated. Releasing that, I can then re-trigger with slightly more weight to operate our sensor draft. And once more, with a heavy weight, I can ensure my right draft is also operational. With all our sensors, switches, remote and foot pedal now tested, we can ensure that all modes are active and our pre-start checks are complete, ready to bring some sheep in and use it for the day.